Hello, everybody. In today's class, we are going to learn how to paint abstract. And actually, on my palette, I have quite a few colors here that I have selected for this project. I am using white, blue, purple, red, yellow, green, and black. Make sure you have some water. Make sure you have two brushes. So I'm going to use a large and a thin one. So this is number 12. This is number 3. Make sure you have some water and paper towel to wipe the brushes, and let's start painting. We're going to start by doing the background first. So we're going to mix two colors. We're going to mix blue and black. And I'm going to use the big brush for this. So the paint has to be thin. So if your paint is not thin, make sure you thin it down with some water. And all I'm doing here is just filling up the background with these colors. And at this point, it has to be thin paint, a thin layer. So we're doing all of this part here, the top part with black and blue colors. So black and blue. And then right in the middle. So as you see, I'm just scribbling here. Nothing special. So just feel the surface. So it's halfway through. And then right in the middle, I am going to use blue. So make sure you wipe your brush. And right in the middle, we're going to do that with blue only. So clean blue. So just like this. So it's half of the painting, it's going to be dark blue because we mixed it with black. And the other half is going to be clean blue. So it's not mixed with any other colors. And just feel the surface here. You can change the way you feel this background. You can mix it up a little bit. So see how I'm moving my brush here? I'm creating marks, and these marks are created in different ways. So I'm moving the brush left and right. And I'm also going a little bit higher here with this blue. And down at the bottom. So all we're doing right now is we are creating texture. So at the end here at the bottom, as you see, I'm not filling up the whole surface. I am leaving some white spaces. So after we finish with filling the background, our next step is designing the objects that we're going to paint on. So I'm going to do this actually with a small brush. So you can continue with small brush here. And I'm going to do the designing with color black. So make sure your paint are a bit thin because it's easy to work with when it's thin paint. And let's start designing. So with abstract art, we're going to do a few different shapes here. So the first shape that I'm going to do, it looks kind of like a square, but it's half square. So as you see, it's open here at the top. And then I'm going to do another one, but this square, or this rectangular, I would say, it's placed on a different way, it's like opposite way from the first one. Just like this. And then we're going to do a straight one here. This part, I'm going to fill it all with black color. So let's go up. And when I'm doing this, you can see the brush strokes here. So all we're doing is a black mark in between those lines that we did before. We're also going to do another black mark right here. Okay, now I'm going straight line. We're going to do a circle right here at the bottom, or let's say half circle. And you can make this circle as big as you can. It doesn't really matter how big you make it. My circle is in between the two rectangulars. So see right here. So that's where it starts. And then it ends right in the middle of the other square. Then I am going to do a line right here. So a straight line going down at the bottom. And then this time I'm going to do a small oval. Let's call it oval because it's not really too round. It's more like an egg shape, I would say. And that's it with black for now. We're going to come back and then add more details on top of these black marks. So what we did is we kind of did the design where we're going to fill up with color. And then once we finish this design, then we're going to go inside and fill this with different colors. So make sure your brush is clean. I'm going to use the big brush here. So just clean it, rinse it, or grab another brush. It's up to you, what you prefer. I usually don't like to change too many brushes, so I am going to use the same one, just wiping it off first, make sure it's clean. I like to clean it in paper first, or if you have a piece of cloth, you can wipe it off in cloth. And then rinse it with water so you remove the paint. I know a lot of people, they dip the brush in water first. I clean it in paper first. That's my method. That's my way, the way I do it. So wipe it off and then rinse it in water. All right, next step. We are going to use wash off with white. So we need very thin layer with white color. So let's go back to our color white. We're going to mix this with water. So make sure it's a very thin white. So all I'm doing is mixing white with water. To create this technique, which is called wash off with white, the paint has to be really, really thin. So I'm going to go over on top of the blue color that we had before. But when I cover this up, actually, I am able to see some marks in there. I'm not covering everything from the blue color that I had before. So when I put this thin layer with white on top, you can still see the dark blue color that I had underneath before, because the paint is that thin actually. All right, so we're going to continue with white, and we're going to go up to this section. Now, we're also going to do white at the bottom. So make sure you move your brush. Let's go down at the bottom. I'm saving some blues here in the middle. So I'm not covering the whole blue. So right in the center, right in the middle of the painting, I'm not touching it. I'm just going down and adding some white brush strokes, but I'm still saving that color blue that I had before. Okay. My next color, so when you look at this part here, you can see the color blue that I had before, but on top and the bottom, you can see the brush strokes with white. And sometimes if I want to emphasize the white color, if I want that color a bit stronger, I would go back on top with another layer of white. And I think we need another layer of white here. So what I'm going to do is just dip the brush one more time in white paint. And we're going to put few actually brush strokes here with white. Simply to add a little bit of light to our painting. And then again, keep it in mind, we're not covering everything because we want to see those layers of paint that we put before. We don't want to lose those. So let's add some white brush strokes at the top. And at the bottom as well. So the beauty of abstract art is that you put a lot of layers on top of each other. And you're kind of free to experiment with brush strokes, with colors. I love the abstract art because it gives you that freedom of trying different forms, different shapes, different materials, different brush strokes. Okay, I think that's it for me here when it comes to white color. So my next color, it's going to be green. We're going to use two different greens. We're going to use light green and dark green. Because my brush is with white right now, I am going to mix white and green. And this time, I'm going to have light green because we're mixing it with color white. Starting right here from the corner. So green on top. We're going to spread this green color. We're kind of balancing the colors in our painting. Going to do one more here. And I'll put a little bit here at the bottom. So when I'm putting these marks or these blocks of colors, I usually tend to balance them in the painting. For example, I put white in all four corners of the painting, and I'm kind of balancing the green color right here in the center, right in the middle of the painting. My next color is going to be dark green. So make sure you have your brush, make sure you have a clean brush. We don't want this to be mixed with white. And then we're going to make sure you rinse it so you don't have white paint. And we're going to use just clean green. Okay, so that's my green here. If you do not have this green color, if your green is darker than mine, what I do sometimes, I just mix this with a little bit of either yellow or white to get this light green color. So you kind of have to experiment. It's based on what kind of pigment you have. And it doesn't have to be exactly like mine. I know sometimes people say, oh, my green is not the same or my blue is not the same as yours. And that's perfectly fine. They don't have to be all the same. Okay, so right in the middle here, we're doing a big oval with green color. And I'm going to use this green color in few other sections of my painting. Now let's go down below here. Doing a bit of green at the bottom. And it basically, when I do this, it's more like a brush strokes. They look more like brush strokes rather than creating figures, or rather than creating something, let's say like a square or a rectangular. It's mostly moving the brush, creating that texture. Okay, with dark green, going here in the other corner. I'm going to extend this a little bit further. This. Okay, I think greens look okay for now. I think I'm going to do maybe a tiny little square here in the corner. But I don't want to repeat all the same shapes and sizes. So when you do this, so for example, my black is touching the green here. And that's okay. If your paint is not dry, sometimes the colors will blend a little bit. But make sure they don't blend too much. Otherwise, your color will be dirty. All right, so the next color, let's wipe the brush again. Next color, it's going to be purple. So next color that we're going to use, it's going to be purple. The color purple that I have, it's a bit dark purple. So that's how my color looks like. If you do not have color purple, you can always make your own color. To make purple, you're going to mix blue and red and a little bit of white. But because I already have some purple, I am going to use the one that is already prepared for me. And with this color purple, I'm going right down here. We're going to add a couple of dark purple in a few sections of our painting here. Now that's another block. And one more here. We can actually touch this all together, it's fine. I'm going to create another purple, and this time I am going to mix this color with white. So same purple. I'm going to mix this with a little bit of white. So let's make light purple. And with this light purple going down in the corner here, the bottom. Here in the middle. A little bit at the top, I would say. Make sure when you do these marks, they're not the same size. So if you look at this, it's not the same size as black. It's not the same size as dark purple. They're different sizes. I'm going to blend this with white a little bit. So purple and white. The next color that we are going to use, it's going to be yellow and red. So let's start with red first. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. You don't have purple on it that we used before. So let's start with red first. With big brush. Going down at the bottom here. And I'm going to make a red circle. Okay, so after this red circle, we're going to actually make few other lines or marks with the same color. So let's add a tiny bit of red right here. So I'm doing this two marks right here with red. Okay, our next color is going to be, I would say orange, because I am going to mix red and yellow together. So now that my brush has a bit of red in it, I'm going to mix this together. And we're going to make a little bit of orange. When I mix these colors, I am actually not mixing them too much. I don't want to blend them too much. The reason why is because I still want to see some yellow and red. I want to see both colors. So we're going to go around. With orange. And even if you go on top of those colors that you had before, it's okay. They will blend. If your paint is still wet, make sure you clean your brush a little bit so it's not black. We're going to go around here one more time. Okay, so with orange again, to go here on the other side. This time I'm going to put a bit more yellow on this little circle. So let's grab some yellow and putting a bit yellow on top. I'm going to use more yellow here. And put some yellow on the corner, on the side. A little bit on my left-hand side of the painting. And as you see, you can see the brush strokes from the green color that I had before. So it doesn't have to be very thick, so it's kind of transparent. You can see the colors that I had underneath. And you usually create this kind of effects with only one brush strokes, because if you put too many layers on top, you will kind of create one solid layer. But if you use it with only one brush strokes, you can see the other layers that you have underneath. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow here on the side. Let's make this longer here.
When we can it be done?
So I am going to extend this yellow a little bit more on top of that green color. And I'm using dry brush technique here, where you see the brush strokes. Okay, the last detail that we're going to add, it's going to be with black color, and we're going to go back to our thin brush. So at the end, let's dip our thin brush in black paint. And what we're going to do is create some marking. And the marks are going to be like letter X, I would say. So let's do a few X's here. So for my space, I can fit 3 in there. But it depends how big your space is. On my right-hand side, I'm going to do short lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I can fit 4 in here, doing 4 lines. On this section of the painting, we're going to do, let's say, like little arrows, the little half triangles. So I am going to do maybe 4 or 5 here. Just go all the way down. And the same thing, so 2 rows right here. It doesn't matter how many, it depends how much space you have. So go all the way down to the bottom, to the end. And then on this side of the painting, we're going to do some tiny little squares. You can color them, you can make them black, or you can leave them empty on the inside. Whatever you feel called to do. I am going to leave them empty myself. I'm going to go all the way up at the top. All the way up. Let's make this a bit wider. Okay. And then right here in this part, we're also going to add few elements, not too much, but I would say just a couple of lines. And this time, they're a bit longer than this one here. So 1, 2. Let's make 3. At the same time, I don't want to repeat the same number of lines or the same number of marks. For example, here we have 2 rows of these little triangles, and I didn't want to do the same 2 and 2 on both sides. Then here we're going to add a couple of circles. So I'm doing one full circle and the other one only half circle. So that's it for my elements. I think my painting looks really good the way it is, but if you want to add more elements to your painting, feel free to add as much as you want. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye.